So we're recording, and welcome back to MAT130, everyone. If you just joined a couple minutes ago, we're going to start off with some review exercises. So the things that we did in the last class with set operations, like intersections and unions and differences and complements, we'll take a few minutes to make sure we're feeling pretty good about that. And we'll do some questions that we haven't seen before in the homework. And then we'll go ahead, we'll move into our application of set theory, which is going to be using set theory to help us understand word problems. And they're very, very specific kind of word problems. It has to do with analyzing categorical data. And after that, I'd like to start to talk about the test also, because we're going to do the application of set theory today. Thursday, you're going to have your review day. And then Tuesday, the exam comes out. The big mistake a lot of people make is they'll wait until they get the review sheet. Well, I mean, like the worksheet exercise to start studying for the test. And Max is sending me a message. He doesn't have audio. Max, you might need to come out and come back in again, see if that fixes it. Do not wait until the review day to start studying for the exam, because it's going to be way too late. That'll only leave you like 4 days to study. And during the semester, we recommend start studying for the exam about 1 week out. Usually, if you do that, you're going to hit easily in the high B's or the A's on the exam. If you sit down and you try to do it all 2 nights before the test, you might get a D or a C on it. And I realize that you guys are all going to have 24 hours to take the test, but you have other classes, you have jobs, and you don't want to drag the exam out to like 10 hours because you're looking everything up. That's just not going to be an efficient way to get yourself through the examination. I know also a lot of you are going to be using the internet resources. People probably have Chegg subscriptions and things like that. I do make all the questions up myself, so you're probably not going to find them on subscriptions, but they are very similar to the stuff we talk about on the slides. So using the recordings to refamiliarize yourself is a great way to prep you up for the test. I'm going to turn over the screen in just a minute to get us into some of the review from what we talked about last week. Any other questions before we start?
No.
Okay, I don't see anybody else coming, setting up questions. And there's Max rejoining. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share the screen, turn us over to where we need to go here. Okay, and let's see. You should see a big red square on the screen. That means everything turned out fine. Okay, I'm just gonna piece something up here that I need to do. Get my screen set up. Okay, great. What I'm doing is I'm moving the chat window out of the way. Right now it's right in the dead center of my computer screen, and I can't see the presentation window when it's like that. So I'm going to situate it in such a way that I can see your messages, hopefully at the same time. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start off, and the first name I have is Michael. So I'm going to start at the top. Last time I started at the bottom. So Michael, we got symbols up on the screen. And it's given us the symbol of like the U shape there. And we're trying to figure out what it means. A, B, C, D, or E, where are we going?
Is it complement?
Okay, Michael's going for D, complement. What do we think, everyone? If you want to type it in the chat window or shout out, whichever your pleasure. It's okay to use your notes. If you need to look stuff up, it's not a test. We're just reviewing. Okay, I see a couple people coming in. They're asking about B. And you are correct. That's the union. I think about the U standing for just the word union. That helps me remember a little bit. And I'm going to stay with Michael here for a minute. Michael, when we see union, what does it mean that we need to do when we see two different sets in Venn diagrams?
Isn't it find what they have in common?
Tell me a little more. Like if you have a whole bunch of elements in set A and a whole bunch of elements in set B, which ones would you take? If you're saying in common, I think you're talking about where the only part of where they would overlap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's exactly wrong. The union is going to be anything that's in one set or the other set. And just keep thinking, as soon as you see U, what does it look like it would stand for? Union. And if you think of the Union of 50 states, like the United States, you're talking about all 50 at the same time, if that helps you. I need to
Yes,
break
yes.
out the screen just for a second, and I'll turn it right back on. Okay, so next we have is Caroline, number 2. And Caroline, this is yours.
The D, intersection.
The intersection, you are correct. Well done, Caroline. Now, what does the intersection mean?
Whatever numbers are in the like the set prior to it, like whatever, like set like A, for example, is intersecting with like D.
Mm-hmm.
It's set D. It's all the same numbers that are in both sets.
Okay, so you mean like the numbers that are common to both? You're
Yes.
correct, if that's what you're thinking of. It's basically, think of an intersection on a road. Like the intersection kind of looks like a T, and the intersection is where both of the sets meet. So it's going to be exactly the elements that they both share. And we have number 3. Ashley is next. Ashley, this one's yours.
A, none of the above.
By the way, this might be the first time you saw none of the below as an answer choice.
Oh, below, sorry.
All right, what do we think? Is Ashley right or wrong? What do you think it's supposed to be, Ashley, if you pick none of the below?
I think it's supposed to be B, I think.
You mean equivalent set?
Yeah.
Okay, what do we think, everyone? You can either put it in the chat window or shout it out if you like.
I still think it's none of the below though.
Well, your instincts are correct. It is none of the below. And what does that stand for, everyone?
Compliments.
Yeah, right, exactly. So when we're looking at that, Ashley, think of like, what does the C want to be? And there's only a couple things that we have starting with C. Compliments is one of them.
Okay.
And that's going to help us out a lot when we do the application of set theory today, because we're going to see complements come up a lot. Okay, anybody have any questions about anything so far? All right, we'll go on to the next one, and this is Shane, number 4. Shane, this one's yours. Like if you think of, go on.
Okay. I was gonna say, is it what's in A and B? Like
Almost. It's definitely considering A and B. Now, if you read like 4 minus 2, like the dash is a minus sign, it wants to look like subtraction, right? So how would you do A minus B? Like if you had A and B and they were intersecting circles, it would probably be circle A you would start with, and then how would you modify it?
You'd see what's in circle B and you'd subtract 2.
Beautiful, done. Yep, that's exactly correct. All the elements of A except what are those in B. Okay, and we're up to number 5, that's Daniela. Daniela, you've got the Venn diagrams.
Okay, just a second.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, she's voting for correct. What do we think, everyone? Is she right or is she wrong?
Because it's all of them together, right?
Okay, great question. What is a union? It's A union B, and it would be anything in set A or set B, but what do you have to watch out for when you're doing unions?
That's wrong.
Oh, it's wrong because it's repeated.
Beautiful, outstanding. You're exactly correct. What's repeated? I think we've got the 3 and
The R.
yes, well done. You are our union specialist, catching the repeat. All right, great job, everyone that shouted out. Okay, and this brings us to Sophia, number 6 here. Sophia, this one's you.
Correct.
Okay, you are right. Just those 2 elements. Albert is next. Albert's number 7. This one's for you. Albert, can you hear us still?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I'm trying to figure it out.
That's okay. I knew you were there. You said something before, and I thought I might.
Oh, I thought my mic was on. I'm sorry.
It happens. It happens. We understand.
No, it's incorrect
Okay, what's wrong with it?
because it doesn't have T and 1 in with the A minus B. It just has the 3R and the -7.
Okay, and it's said to basically stay away from B. So you're not really supposed to have R and -7, exactly what you just said. It should only be T. Excuse
Okay.
me, T and number 1. You're right. Anybody have any
Oh.
questions on anything so far? Okay, we'll do a few more of these and then we'll get into the set theory lesson for today. And this is Eric, number 8.
Um,
What's the symbol there? Let's start with that.
forgot what it was.
Okay. Can somebody help Eric out? What's the symbol there?
Complement.
Yeah, right, exactly. So complement, what's the complement going to do, Eric?
What goes with A?
Not what goes with A, but what? I know you're kind of thinking probably like I put on clothes that complement each other. I say a compliment to somebody's, things that go together. But in set theory, complement means, what's complement mean, everyone? Anybody want to help Eric out?
It tells us what elements are in U that are not in the opposite.
All right, outstanding. Exactly correct. Everything that's not in set A would be the complement. And by definition, that's everything that's in the universal space that's not in set A. Okay, I think we have just a couple more. Max is number 9. Maxima, I'm thinking of Gladiator, Maximus. Number 9, this one's a little bit tricky. Max, were you able to get your audio repaired? Oh, good, good, good.
Yeah,
I know you sent me a
I'm
message
just
a minute
thinking of
ago.
it, to be honest.
I'm sorry?
I'm just thinking of it. I'm just trying to solve.
Okay. Anybody else have ideas that can help Max? This one's going to make you think.
Wouldn't it, like the five?
I heard somebody say something, but I didn't catch it well.
I honestly don't know.
Okay, anybody have any ideas?
Doesn't add up to 15.
Right, that's what's wrong. The first thing that they told us in the question was, how many people went into the fast food restaurant? 15. Now, if you look at the numbers in the circle, what do the numbers in the circle add up to?
10.
Right, 10. So what it's telling you is, oops, what it's telling you is that we still have to account for other people. And it's probably people that did not order fries. They did not order burgers. They ordered something else. So the extra element that we needed was there's 5 extra people in the universal space that we didn't account for. So that would be what's wrong with the diagram. And the next slide, we're going to start doing our operations lessons. I mean, the concept of applications of set operations. So any questions on anything we've done before we kick over into today's main feature, so to speak? One thing I'm just going to recommend is a few of you knew a lot of the answers. Actually, lots of you knew it. Some of you didn't. Now, of the people that didn't, I firmly believe that you went to, and you practiced it over the weekend. You spent some time with it, but we tend to forget it a lot really quickly. Like if I study set theory 8 o'clock in the morning from 8 to 9, by the time it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I probably forgot a lot of what I already studied. So it's kind of emphasized on you the importance of every day you want to go in and review the terms, review the definitions, because it's really going to help you relearn it more quickly each time. If you only go over it once a week or twice a week, it's going to be a lot harder to bring it back on test day. Okay, so what we're going to start to do is we're going to talk about the practical exercises of the set theory. Now we'll do this for probably maybe 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes, and then we're going to get into the exam stuff. Everyone received an email from me that had the same questions you're seeing on the screen now. That's so that you don't have to sit there and try to scribble the questions down. If you wanted to print out that email or just have it next to you for reference, that's okay. That'll save you the trouble of trying to write really quickly. Now, what the practical exercises are going to be doing is they're going to give us information on something that happened. And it's going to have to do with, in this case, 70 students went into the bookstore and they all did something. And we're going to get a lot of information on what they did by the categories of what their purchases fell in. And we're going to end up having to use set theory to go ahead and organize all the data in the questions so that we can answer the part B that's posted down there. So I'm going to give you guys just a minute to read through the question, refresh your mind, and then we're going to take a deep dive here. And I'm going to move something out of my screen so I can see. Okay. And while you're taking a minute to read, if anybody has any questions, feel free to use the chat window if you like. Okay, that's about 30 seconds. If you need more time, just shout wait and I'll be happy to stop. If I don't hear anything, I'll just keep going now. So inside the question, when we're reading through this is the kind of thing that would make you pull your hair out when you were in high school and they give you a word problem like this and you had to try to separate all these numbers into categories. It's got to turn out that set theory and the Venn diagrams will help us immensely to solve this. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at the question and noticing in the first sentence, they're talking about what happened to 70 students. And the 70 students made some kind of transaction that had to do with history books, business books, or math books. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by creating 3 circles. I've got to be written in there. So one circle will stand for everything that happened with books. Business books. The circle mark H is going to stand for everything that had to do with history books. and the M, anything that had to do with math books. A lot of times people will ask me, if I put my letters in different circles, is that going to make any difference? No, not really. You're still going to solve the questions right, but when you look in the back of the book, you check your answer, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you just to get your eyes in the right place when you're reading the different segments, so what numbers are in the different segments. We're going to end up filling out all the parts of the circles with information. So where we start doing this is actually at the end. We're going to begin by reading the problem at the end and working all the way back to the start. And that's how we're going to start to fill out the Venn diagrams. The last thing that it's told us was this phrase that says three students were selling back history, business, and mathematics books. And I have Brian next here. Brian's number 10. If we were going to put that in the Venn diagram, Brian, what spot do you think it would go into?
Wait, I'm sorry, say it again.
Sure thing. When we're reading that last sentence, we're going to start solving the exercise by beginning at the end. And then we're going to keep on reversing until we get all the way back to the first number they gave us. So the last line says 3 students sold back history, math, and business books. What part of the Venn diagram do you think the number 3 is going to match up to?
In the middle where
Right.
they'll connect.
Exactly correct. So that middle part where all 3 come together, that's the very first thing that you need to fill out. If you don't fill out that first, it's going to be really hard to get the question right. So we're going to go and we're going to drop in a 3. That's like our main kickoff. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is just walk backwards in the question. And the next thing going backwards was they said 5 people were selling history and math books. And Rashid is next. Rashid's number 11. Rashid, what part of the Venn diagrams do you think they're trying to get us to look at?
The part where history and math intersect.
Excellent. And that's going to be right here. And I'm going to go ahead and circle that on my screen. That's everything that has to do with history and math. And notice it's a intersection there. It's only the part that corresponds to the word and. So that's how we know it has to do with an intersection. Now, can we just go and take 5 and put it in there? One thing we have to be careful about is how many people have we already counted, Rashid? Now, Rashid's number 11 still.
We counted 3 of them.
Yeah, right. So we counted 3, and Richard's next. I'm going to go with Richard in 12. Richard, what do you think is going to be the other number that goes in the other half of that crescent shape there? Since we're talking about 5 already, we already counted 3. What else is going to get put in there?
2.
Exactly correct. Yep, 3 already accounted for the 5, so that means it's going to be 2 in the slot there. Okay, anybody confused or not sure how we started? Okay, seems like we're all right, so we're going to back it up again. 8 were selling business and math. When we go to the Venn diagram, we're going to be thinking about what's that region that's business and math books, and it's going to be this shape right here. We're at Ariel, number 13. So Ariel, what number do you think is going to get penciled in there this time?
Wait, can you give me a second?
Sure, we can give you a second. Take 2.
Okay. A.
5. And the way you get it is that we know that there's 8 in that green shape, but how many of them were already counted, Ariel?
Three and 2.
Almost. In the green shape, remember how we started the whole question with the triple intersection, the 3?
Yeah.
That 3 happens to already be counting the people in the green shape. So when they mention there's a total of 8 in the green shape, we have to remember to subtract out the 3.
Oh, Okay, yeah, I see it now.
Okay, great. Now the way you can remember, Ariel, if you add up the 5 and the 3, you're going to get straight back to 8. So that's kind of like your checkpoint. Okay, so we're going to walk back again. This says 9 were selling back history and business books. That's going to be this part right there. And Maya's number 14. Maya, what's going to go in that extra shape? What's the extra number that needs to go in?
Yeah, I'm guessing 6.
You are a good guesser. Yes. Okay. So now that we got the triple intersections, we have all the double intersections. Anybody, any questions? Anybody not sure what we're doing? Okay. So we're going to start to fill out the individual circles now. And 19 people had math books to return. So if we're thinking about only the people that were in the mathematics circle and nowhere else, I'm going to come to Chloe, number 15. Or actually, Chloe told me she wasn't going to make it. That makes Jacques next. Jacques is number 16. So Jacques, we need the 19 math. How many people did we already count in the math ring now?
Sorry, say that again.
Sure. We're talking about 19 people had math books to return. So we're only looking at that math circle. How many people did we already count up though?
7.
Something else. Like how many, what are the numbers we already got in the math ring?
Oh, is it 10?
Yes, it is. Well done. So that means how much is going to go in that part of the math ring that does not belong to any other circle?
9.
Right. There it is. You did it. Okay. And we're going to back up again. 21 had business books to return. So only the business circle and nothing else. Kevin's next. Kevin, number 17. Kevin, what number do we think is probably going to go in the business circle that's not connected to any other spot there?
Is it 7?
Okay. You are exactly right. Now we're almost done. I know this seems like a real workout. It's the kind of thing where you have to practice it a lot to get through it very quickly. 19 people had, what does it say? 19 people did history. And this is Keenan, number 18. Keenan, what's going to go in that circle?
8.
All right. Questions, anybody?
Yeah, I have a question.
Tell us.
So I'm a little confused on how you're getting the numbers exactly. I know, like you said, you have to add or something, but I'm a little confused on how it's like you just got 8, let's just say.
Okay, so when they gave us the history, let me see if I could back this up. The only thing we knew right now is that they're interested in 19 people that had history books. I'm looking at the part that has the blue underline in the question. So we just know that right now 19 people return history books. Okay so far?
Yeah.
Okay, now when you look at the history in that blue circle, there's already numbers filled in there. And it totals 6 plus 3 plus 2, which is going to give us 11. So we know that of that 19, how many have we already accounted for?
11.
Yeah, so we still have to get to 19. It lets us know that there's some people that did history books, but did not do anything else. And that difference would be 19 less the 11 you just read me. And that would be...
Oh, okay. And that would give you 8.
Exactly correct, yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now when we look at the circles, it looks like we're doing pretty good. We've got numbers in everywhere. Are we done? And this goes to Christian, number 19. Christian, are we all set? Is it safe to go to part A, finally? What do we think, everyone?
I think it's safe.
Okay, so I have one vote for safe. Send me a chat window message, just write safe or unsafe, and let's see where we're sitting here. You can shout it out in the microphone too, that's fine. I got a safe, 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 safe.
Safe.
Lots of people are saying we're good. There's only one thing we didn't account for yet. Anybody got an idea of what's the one thing that we didn't think of? The answer is we're not safe. There's something else that we have to account for.
The other students?
Okay, which other students?
The 70 students waiting in line?
Exactly. Yeah, there's 70 students altogether. But what about the people that didn't do any of those 3 books? Like you just went and you bought a pen or something like that. So what it's getting at is that universal space concept. In fact, if you're a bookstore manager and you're watching people come in, like 100 people came in, but 30 people didn't buy anything, what do you probably want to do with those 30 people? What do you want to get them to do the next time they come into the bookstore? And this is for anybody that wants to answer.
Get them to buy.
Yeah, you want to get them to buy. So you kind of wonder how come they didn't buy anything, and they're going to start to try to think of ways that they can attract you into the bookstore to get you to buy something the next time. Okay, so how do we handle this? Any ideas on how we can figure out how many people are going to be in the universal space that are not in any of those circles we've already put numbers in for?
You have to add up like each circle on its own?
Exactly correct. What we're going to do is take all of the numbers and we're going to find out what they total up to. And that's going to be a 40. And now we got to figure out what's the difference between 40 and 70. That's going to leave us with 30. And it's going to let us know that we have to put that 30 into the universal space. And now we're finally finished with the diagram. So after all that's filled in, then we can start to answer the questions. Any questions on anything we've done, comments, concerns, anything like that? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start to think of part A here. Part A is going to ask us, and I've got to see if I can, I think I went too far ahead. Okay, how many people are selling back at most 2 of the 3 types of the books? So if they're selling back at most 2, it means that they definitely made a transaction. They sold something back. So in the diagram, what number do you think we want to stay away from? Like, what's your intuition say? What part of the region should you stay out of if you can only sell back 2? I mean, like, so I rephrased that. Got to rephrase that. If you can sell back a maximum of 2, what part of the diagram do we need to avoid?
Is it the outside?
Okay, that's great. Outstanding. Both are correct. We need to stay away from the universal space, and we need to stay away from the intersection of the 3, because 3 is the triple intersection. You sold all your books back. So our answer is going to be the 7 plus basically everything we're adding up except the 30 and the 3. So if you want, you can take the total number of students, 70, and subtract 33. That'll bring you straight to the answer. Everybody feel pretty good about how to do this? Okay, and there we have it in filled in on the screen there. Now we've got another one, and part B is saying how many students were selling back history and math books but not business books. I'm going to give you guys a minute or 2 to think about this and just send your answer back in the chat window.
Is it 19?
I got a vote for 19. What does everyone else think? If you need a couple more minutes to think about it, just shout out, I need a couple more minutes. Otherwise, we'll start to discuss.
I think it's 19 too.
Okay, so let's take a look. We're selling back the history and the math books, but not the business. So what part of the circles are we looking at right now when it says the history and the math? Like if we just read that much of it, what part are we training into? And I'm going to go down my list here to see who was next. Christian, number 19. Christian, what part are we going to be looking for? Christian, can you hear us? Okay, I don't think Christian's here, so I'm going to go to the next. Liseth, number 20.
Are we just looking at history books and math books? So it'll be like 9, 8, and the 2 in the middle.
Okay, let's take a close look. So she's giving us a couple different numbers. Any other comments?
Nah.
Okay, so when they say history and math, first thing they're letting us know is we need to look at that part of the circle that's going to be just history and just math. What do we have to stay out of?
Business.
Yeah, we can't touch anything that's in the business part. So here's the intersection that's going to control the history and the math. And we know we can't touch business. So what number is getting knocked out of that from the start?
3.
Yes, okay, this is going to go to 3 we can't consider. So Patricia, number 21. Patricia, what's our final answer going to be?
19.
Not 19. We got, just look at the circle. I was saying, somebody's saying 24.
25.
The only thing we have left in the circle is the 3 and the 2, and we know the 3 isn't valid. So the only thing left is going to be the 2. So you have 2 students that sold back the history and the math, but not the business. The 2 most important parts of it are the word and not. Because as soon as they say and, it's bringing us to an intersection. So we can only look at the part of the Venn diagram that controls what happens when you combine those 2 circles. That's what brings us to the blue football shape there. Questions on anything so far? Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll go to another question here, and I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to work this one out on your own. And what I'll do is I'll set the stopwatch here for 3 minutes. I'll give you guys 3 minutes to pencil through it. If you think you get the answer to it, go ahead and send it through on the chat window. And I've got to make sure I can see everybody in that chat window. I'm going to move some things around on my screen. Okay. Something I am going to do to help us get aligned is I'm going to put words up on each Venn diagram, so at least everybody's getting the numbers in the same circle, in the same spot. I think that's probably a good start.
The answer 7.
We got a vote for 7. I'm going to write down the 7. Someone else, it looks like, is saying 24. And just so I know, because I can't see you guys, we're in the classroom, I would be able to see everyone much more easily. Right now, I can only see so many images at the same time. If you are dazed and confused and you want to walk through this from the start, just write in on the chat window like I'm lost or not sure what's happening. And then I'll be able to get a good idea of where you guys are with this. Does anybody need more time? It's been just about 3 minutes. Okay, I don't hear anybody shouting out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the answer up on the screen here. And I'm going to give you a second to check. If you want to take a walkthrough on it, just let me know and we can do that. Okay, I'm not hearing anything back. So what we'll do, I think that was our last practice exercise. We're going to stop to recap some of the important things that we talked about today. And we're going to spend a couple minutes talking about the test too. So last call for any questions on what we covered so far. Okay. Now, when it comes to practice exercises for this evening, you have the questions that are in the book already circled. And let me see if I can put that on the screen so I'll be able to talk directly to you about it. You're not going to see the screen switching around. I'm going to pull content up for us, and then I'll be able to direct you. Okay, this is great. Okay, you're going to see the PDF coming up on the screen. I'm just taking a minute to scroll to the relevant part here. Okay, first important thing I'm going to mention, section 2-3, we're not going to emphasize on the exam. What they're doing in section 2-3 is they're talking about how you can use Venn diagrams and do set operations like intersections and differences and unions, but when you have no elements in the set. And I usually find that it's not as related to a practical context of as compared to what we're doing just now. So you don't have to worry about section 2-3. I'm going to go straight to the section that we were just on today. I'm letting it catch up to me on the screen here. Okay. On page 80, you have about 7 or 8 questions, and they're all circled, just like the ones on the screen here. And they look very, very similar to the 2 exercises we were just working. So between this and the other, this is everything that you're going to be working on for the homework exercises. When you get to the exam, let me give you a little bit of information about some important stuff for the test. I've got to pull something up on my screen. Perfect. Okay. The exam is going to get emailed to you out on a Tuesday morning. That's going to be 1 week from today, and you have 24 hours to send the test back. I'll be able to send you more instructions about how the exam is going to happen as we get closer to it. So when you're getting ready to study the exam, there's going to be some multiple choice questions. There's going to be some working questions on it. The highlights in the textbook are what you want to pay the most attention to. That's usually where I'm going to start to train into for the questions. So things that you want to be aware of. Most of the exam is going to be pretty heavy on chapter 2. There's not that many questions on chapter 1. Usually students hate the Polya method of problem solving, so I don't ask that many questions about it. When it starts off, you're going to have to know definitions from chapter 1, like inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning. I'm going to ask you probably right off the top some of the basic definitions about that. So know how to differentiate the two back and forth. When we did inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning, we used those to help us solve math questions. And specifically the types of questions were when you had sequences and you had codes and you had to use inductive logic to figure out what pattern was coming next in the code and make a conjecture, make a guess about what the next number was going to be. That you have to know how to do. There's usually a few of those questions. And there's probably going to be at least one Polya question, usually not more than that. So I think it's really important when you do the Polya method, you have to know what all the different steps are of the Polya solving problem. That's the things where we were talking about, like step 1, understand the problem, where you're going to write out the question. I mean, not write out the question, write out the important parts of the question. Step 2 is deciding on a strategy. Step 3, implementing the strategy. Step 4, finding a way to check that strategy. A lot of times students will just take a word problem, a Polya word problems, and they'll just try to work out the answer. They'll get the answer and then they leave and they only get like 1 out of 5 points. And how come, you know, I got the question right? You have to go through all the steps to qualify for all the points. When you get into chapter 2, you're going to need to know when you have, for example, different kinds of sets. I'll probably say universal space equals all these elements, A, B, C, D, E, and F. Here's set R, set B, set D that are made from the universal space. I'm going to ask you to start doing intersections and unions. Like when we did things like the union of set B and set C intersected with set A, you're probably going to have a few questions where you'll have to be able to go and tell me exactly what elements you have after carrying through with the set operation. There's going to be a whole bunch of probably true-false questions that'll have to deal with the different symbols, where I'm going to say, give you different sets. And I'm going to say things like set A is a subset of B, give you some elements and ask you if it's going to be true or false. I'll do something similar with like proper subsets and subsets. You have to know how to find the cardinality. Remember, when you see cardinality, that's the symbol where they give you N of A. If you see N, I'm going to write it in the chat window so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, that's better. Now you know what I mean. So you need to know what cardinality means, and just to see if we're still with it, number 26 was Jacob. Jacob, what do you remember cardinality as being about? I think I hear Jacob laughing at me. Can you hear us, Jacob? Okay, don't hear Jacob, so I'm going to go to, I think the person just before that I skipped over by mistake. Number 25 was Anna. And I don't hear Anna either. Tahana, number 27. And 28, 29, 30, or 31. Okay, I need to take those people off the attendance then because they might not be in the class with us today. So cardinality refers to how many different elements that we have in the test, in the set. Cardinality is something a lot of people, like, you either remember it or you forget it when you're on the examination, and it's going to be probably like maybe 3 or 4 questions asking you about cardinality, so it could be as many as 10 points. And I need to move my screen here. Okay. There's definitely going to be a application of set theory, so you'll have a question similar to what you just saw before. Victoria, thank you. I see that message. And the application question would be very similar to the ones we've done. They would be probably like part A, part B, part C, after getting all the elements in the circles in their right spots. Anybody have any questions about anything? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll stop here for now, and I'll stay around for another minute or 2 in case anybody had something that they wanted to ask and they were waiting until the end. Otherwise, we'll see each other on Thursday. Great to be with you here today, and looking forward to Thursday. That'll be our worksheet day.
Have a nice day, Professor.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Good one, Professor.
Have a
Have a
good
nice day.
afternoon. Have a good week.
Go on, Professor.
Thank you. You too. You too.
Have a good one.
Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a great week.
Professor, would you mind going over cardinality for just a
Yeah,
second?
I on cardinality for a little bit. And one, I did see one of your messages coming in before I did get you on the attendance mark. And I see Camila's messaging me. I'll get to that later. Okay, so cardinality, and so I can't see your picture. Was that Keenan?
Yeah.
Okay, Keenan, cardinality, you two have a good day also, Camila. Cardinality is how many elements are in the set. So if they say something like this, I'm going to write in the chat window what I'm talking about. Set A is 2, 3, and 4. Keenan, it's just asking for how many elements are in there. It would be 3. So n of A equals your cardinality. That's going to be equal to 3. And that you're going to have to know how to do, because I'm most likely going to ask you things like, here's a set, how many different subsets are in there? And the cardinality is going to help you figure out the answer really quickly.
Okay. Okay, that helped. That helped a lot.
It's funny, Keenan. It's one of those things that we tend to forget really quick because it doesn't sound like anything.
Yeah, it sounds very out in the ordinary.
It does. You've probably never seen it in any other math class. So you hear cardinality and then you just forget it 2 minutes later. Unless
Yeah, this is my first time actually learning about this. So I appreciate that, Professor. Thank you so much. And have a good day.
You too, Keenan. Have a great afternoon.
Take care.
Hey, Professor, I have a question.
Hi.